The story takes place in a small village in Africa, where culture and family traditions are extremely important. Akina's family is very poor, without much property, relying only on farming and small businesses to make a living. She grew up in a makeshift thatched house with a simple and difficult life. Despite her poverty, Akina stands out for her gentle, patient personality and always thinks of others. She never complains about her fate and always tries her best in every situation. Akina accidentally meets her husband through an encounter at a village market. He is a kind man but comes from a much richer family. When he asks Akina to marry him, it seems like a great opportunity for her and her family to escape their miserable life. However, Mrs. Zola, her mother-in-law, is a tough, conservative woman who does not easily accept anyone, especially those she thinks are not worthy. Akina understands that Mrs. Zola will not easily accept a girl from a poor family like her. But because of her love for her husband, and because of the hope of improving her family's life, Akina accepts this marriage, even though she knows that she must prepare to face countless new difficulties and challenges. From the moment Akina entered the family, Mrs. Zola always showed her displeasure. Every action and word of Akina was scrutinized and criticized by her. Akina had to wake up early in the morning, do all the housework, take care of the whole family and children, but for Mrs. Zola, that was never enough. She often blamed Akina for not knowing how to please her husband, not taking care of the house as she expected. Every time a guest came to the house, Mrs. Zola did not hesitate to speak ill of her daughter-in-law, making Akina feel ashamed and humiliated. Mrs. Zola often went behind Akina's back, checking every little thing she did, from cooking, washing clothes to cleaning the house. When she was not satisfied, she did not hesitate to speak loudly, compare it with how she had done it before, and point out every little mistake, making Akina feel that she could never do it well enough. Although the daily workload was very heavy, and she never received compliments from her mother-in-law, Akina continued to do everything diligently. She got up early, worked from morning to night, and took care of every little detail in the house. Whenever she was criticized, she just quietly did it again, without a word of complaint. This patience and endurance showed that she not only respected her mother-in-law, but also put her family above everything else. Every meal Akina cooked was scrutinized. No matter how delicious the dish was, Mrs. Zola always found something to criticize. The constant comments made Akina never feel like she was doing a good job.
Mrs. Zola not only managed all the financial decisions in the family, but also imposed on Akina how to spend money, not giving her freedom in anything related to spending for the family or herself. This made Akina always have to ask for permission and wait for her mother-in-law's approval, even for the smallest things. The days living together were a long series of suffering and hardship for Akina. Despite being burdened by her mother-in-law's strictness, Akina still persevered in taking care of the family, without a single complaint. She understood that if she gave up, the family would become chaotic, and her husband would be stuck between the two most important women in his life. Despite being treated unfairly, Akina was always devoted to her husband, children, and mother-in-law. When Mrs. Zola was sick, Akina was the one who took care of her from morning to night, worrying about every meal and sleep. Although Mrs. Zola often showed signs of being annoyed, Akina's sincere concern gradually made her reconsider. Akina endured the pressures and challenges from her mother-in-law with incredible patience. Although Mrs. Zola constantly criticized and pressured her, Akina never spoke up to protest or resist. What she had to endure and how she faced them gradually changed Mrs. Zola's thinking. When Mrs. Zola's family was on the brink of bankruptcy, the situation became extremely tense. The family company was the pride of Mrs. Zola and her husband, but because of wrong business decisions, the partners gradually lost confidence and wanted to withdraw. This meant that they could lose everything, from property to honor in the village. Akina, with her loving heart and devotion to her family, could not stand by and watch everything fall apart. Although she was often belittled and blamed by her mother-in-law, she still felt responsible for saving the situation, because she knew that if the company collapsed, the family would not only lose their finances, but also their self-respect and status in the community. She began to contact the company's important partners, with whom the Zola family had cooperated for many years. Although Zola initially did not trust and even hindered her, thinking that Akina was not qualified to interfere in the business, Akina quietly continued to act without saying anything. When meeting with partners, Akina did not use complicated business arguments because she understood that those were no longer effective at this time. Instead, she spoke from the heart, asking for their tolerance and understanding. She explained that if the contract was canceled, Zola's family would lose everything, and they would not have the opportunity to start over. She helped her husband plan a new business, focusing on smaller but more feasible projects. She even learned about aspects of business that she had never known before, just so that she could contribute more to the company and not let down the partners who had given them more opportunities. She was not afraid of hardship, sometimes skipping sleep to work through the night. Her slender body gradually became emaciated after many sleepless nights, but her eyes still lit up with the belief that, if she did not give up, her family would overcome. The partners who had originally intended to cancel the contract began to change their minds. They felt Akina's sincerity and tireless efforts. Some who had lost faith in Zola's family began to reconsider. They understood that a daughter-in-law like Akina, who was willing to sacrifice and take responsibility for the family, deserved another chance. With perseverance, Akina successfully convinced some partners to keep the contract, allowing the family time and opportunity to revive the company. Akina's efforts not only saved the company, but also changed Zola's mind about her. Without Akina, her family would have lost everything. When Akina returned from the last meeting, Zola no longer kept her distance or looked at her coldly. Instead, she began to feel a deep sense of gratitude rising in her heart. In her eyes, Akina was no longer the incompetent daughter-in-law she had thought, but the one who had saved her family from disaster. She gradually realized that the daughter-in-law she had looked down on was the one who had saved her family from disaster. Mrs. Zola witnessed every drop of sweat, every sleepless night of Akina, and gradually understood that Akina was not only a gentle daughter-in-law, but also a resilient and devoted woman who always put her family first. One morning, while Akina was cooking breakfast, Mrs. Zola walked into the kitchen, a rare occurrence because before she usually only appeared to check and criticize. This time, she did not say any words of criticism, but instead gave Akina a gentler look and helped her prepare breakfast. The tasks that Mrs. Zola used to assign to Akina with a strict attitude, she now shared and supported her daughter-in-law gently. One time, when Akina was hanging the clothes, Mrs. Zola suddenly appeared and helped her, even though she had never done such things before. The bond between the two began to form from such small actions.